Hello everyone who will be watching this video. Shalom. This video intended for Chabad Lubavitch. It happened that I really need your help. You are in a position due to your unusual background that your intellect have all necessary ingredients that is needed for you to be able to perceive what I'm about to show you today. You are with Slavic ancestry and you're still familiar with Slavic language, Russian language is a key language that would be needed to decipher one important line that we have to decipher way ahead of every other line in Torah. We have to do it now. Also, you know English, and this is a second key language, and we will need it today to do the same job. It happened to be that it was designed this way, that in order to get into deepest layers of understanding of Torah, you need not one language, but you need at least three. That would be Russian and English, additionally to Hebrew. And you have all that. And also you're familiar with Zohar. And this is a book that is designed, created as a book that contains important key without which you cannot fully understand Torah. Now you hear my accent. You can already perfectly understand that I was born in Soviet Union. So here is the situation. I was planning to introduce myself to your group of people because of what I already said. You closer than everybody else to be able to understand that what I'm about to show really makes sense. It will make sense to you before it will make sense to everybody else. I was planning to contact you a little bit in the future, but because of recent events, because of what's happening in Israel right now, we have to change our plans. And plans are changing not in a particular time, but changing altogether. This concept is a little bit difficult to explain immediately, but think about it this way. There is a line that we will need today. It's in Deuteronomy, in a book that you know as Devarim in Hebrew. And think about it this way. When Moses wrote 4 books, he knew that if he stopped on 4 books, in the future there would be schism. And this schism exists in this world right now. And what this schism does, it prevents flow of consciousness in the correct direction. And in order to finish what was started, it is important to properly understand the 5th book. And there is a line in Deuteronomy that has to be deciphered now. And it is deciphered and it is explained. I did video in Russian language to my Russian speaking audience, but I understood that it is not enough to produce positive wave that will propagate with enough change. And that's why I need your help. I need people that is familiar with Hebrew to tell me and tell to everybody else if what I'm saying is something that makes sense, because you are capable of knowing for sure that what I'm saying does make sense. Think about this. Moses was very clear prophet with great details. He knew that we will be in a situation where we are right now. It will be exactly as it is right now. And we will need a sign that will say detour for everybody who just cannot go in the right direction and find that promised land. We are still in desert. And in order for continuation of flow in a straight road, a road have a schism. There is no more way forward. And a book Deuteronomy, named like that, after English word detour, you will see it in a sign that you can see in a road, detour. You have to turn right, then you have to turn left, then you have to turn left again, and then you have to turn right again to go in the same road, but you have to avoid schism. So there is line in Deuteronomy that have to be deciphered right now to its greatest depth in order for people to take it serious and in order for people to avoid schism. This schism, of course, relates to what's happening right now in Israel. And you know, I don't have to talk about what's happening right now in Israel because all that is understandable. What we have to talk is about one line in book of Deuteronomy. We need this line to take detour. But for this video, I have to do particular plan. First, I have to introduce myself properly so you will take me serious. Then I have to talk a little bit about Torah, just a little bit. And then we will decipher one line. And then I hope that you will be able to say to people that what I'm saying makes sense. This is how I will do my introduction. If you're watching this video, that means in your hands, somewhere in the hands of Chabad Lubavitch, there is a poster that I have sent you. This is what I brought to this world. These posters, I sent it to people that are in a position to be able to take my information serious. Mostly it is members of secret societies, and they are the people that have enough knowledge to take me serious. I sent it to every Masonic lodge in the world. Of course, posters was sent to some of them, but every Masonic lodge received a postcard, and in the back of the postcard there is a periodic table of Egyptian hieroglyphs. This is what this poster is. With this tablet, you will be able to read some of Egyptian texts that will have hieroglyphs that is presented in this document. There is more hieroglyphs that will be in the next edition of tablet that is coming out soon. It is already exist. I just introduce my information step by step. But see what happens because of schism. Let me show you. And that will probably convince you to take me serious. This is returned postcards. They were sent to correct addresses. Correct addresses. And all of them are returned with label that insufficient address. No mail reciprocal. But all these addresses was taken from official websites of these Masonic lodges. So this addresses is good for Freemason to send money order or a letter of resignation, but it is not good for me to send a postcard with keys to be able to read Egyptian texts for the first time. Well, of course, addresses are correct, and every Masonic lodge in the United States returned this postcard. That is because there was an order inside of this organization not to accept them or send them back. And this happened because of schism, a very same schism. 50 years ago, slightly more than 50 years ago, Ilya Navi, he is a prophet. He gave a few Egyptian hieroglyphs with how they are supposed to be pronounced in reading. Very few hieroglyphs, enough to be able to determine true information from fake information. And that was left with top of Freemasonry. So they were able to differentiate between a person that bring real deal in this world or imposter. And so if Freemasonry was scared enough of my information in the postcards, scared enough to organize such a big return of postcards, that means there is something right about them, something that make top of Freemasonry make decision that would raise lots of questions, and it does. So that's one introduction, but perhaps you would want to know right away that names of the hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs are either single sound represented by one hieroglyph, or it's a pair of sounds. So the ones that represented with one sound, all these hieroglyphs have names exactly as they are in a corresponding letters that presented with the same sounds in Hebrew. So we don't have that much time in one video. Let's just find a hieroglyph that is Dalet. It reads as sound D, and it's a duck. And if you are still familiar with a little bit of Russian language, that will help you to understand the word. You will see that this word comprised of two forms, dal and let, like in the word letать. Dal, let, dalet. So dalet is a bird that is furthest migrating bird. bird that flies really far away when it migrates. So that's what Dalet is, and a hieroglyph is a duck. And if you will look at the other hieroglyphs in the first line, in the top line, and you compare how they sound to sounds of corresponding letters in Hebrew alphabet, then you will see that all the names of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet, they are corresponding to hieroglyphs. You will see them for the first time. Now, what this periodic table of Egyptian hieroglyphs really are? Well, in Latin, this called clavis. That's key for bottomless pit. Let me explain you what that is. You familiar with English, and that will help. And you familiar with Russian, that will help. So, bottomless pit, everybody think that this is a well that has no bottom. It's just endless well. But you have to see the word for the first time. Here how you can see it. You know word but. Everything at the end, that's a but. Like lowest part is a but. Tom is a word in Russian language. If you have collection of books by the same author, each book in a collection of books written by the same author, it's a tome, one of a collection of books named tome. One tome, second tome, third tome, collection of books by Moses. Book of Genesis, that's first tome of books of Moses. But tome, that's the lowest book in the collection. Pit, like in the word pitanie, food. Food can be for physical body, and there is food for thought. There is a spiritual food, which is a pit in Russian language. So bottomless pit is a all books of Bible. It starts right now with book of Genesis, that is considered to be the lowest book. On top of that, other 5 books of Moses, Old Testament. Then it goes book of Daniel, and then it goes New Testament. So all that is bottomless pit. Why is it bottomless? Because the lowest tome, the lowest book, is missing. It's not there. Nobody ever read it. Everybody think that Bible starts with book of Genesis, but that's the second book. The lowest book is the Book of the Dead. Nobody ever read Book of the Dead. It is written in the walls in Egypt, in Syrian as well. And it refers to itself as Dno Karta. So that's the bottom, lowest book of Bible. And so key clavis for the bottomless pit is a periodic table of Egyptian hieroglyphs with which you can read the first book of Bible for the first time. And after that, after you apply this key, bottomless pit, we'll have bottom, which is Dno Karta. And so, now speaking more in Hebrew terms, this is rakia. You will see, oh, that's a sky. Well, this is something that separates water from water. See, there is a shallow water. It's understanding of Torah. in a simple way. And there is also deep water, deep layers of understanding. And between shallow understanding and a deep understanding, there is rakia. And there is reason why you know English. You are capable of understanding, deciphering this particular word. Rakia. When you come home and you take your coat and you take your hat and you put it in a rack. So that's what rack is. You hang stuff on a rack. Your clothes you hang on a rack. So that's rack. In a hotel, you hang keys on a rack. So that's a rack, key in the hotels. But there is also keys for the Bible. And they are on a rack, like on a board, in a particular order. So that is rakia. So this is the biblical sky. In the Bible, the way to understand it, promised land, you have to first know that you are a fallen angel in a situation where you're in a fall, keep falling. So angel that keep falling will be falling until it lands. That's why landing and land is the words that are related. Promised land, it's the land that fallen angel will stop falling. So promised land is what stop angels from falling. It's sacred knowledge. Angel in a fall, in a situation when angel forgets that he is an angel or she is an angel. That's where fall starts. In a sense where 40 years in the desert, 40, of course, in English, all words that relates to combination of sound f and o, fo, focal, and other words that you will find yourself, they related to vision. And vision is external and internal. You will be able to see words. Without you being able to see words, only hear them, you will only perceive top layer of understanding of Torah. But when you will be able to see words, like we did to a duck, dalet is a bird that flies far, so that's dalet. But in reality, under this bird, under duck, there is of course much deeper meaning for later on. We are the angels that migrate in a fall, really far. In a sense, it's a journey through a desert. But now why there is 40 years? You need Russian language. 40 лет. 40, sor is a dirt that prevents vision. Ok, that's eyes that can see inside of mind. That able to envision. So the word sorok can be understood two different ways. It's a number, and it is also a state of consciousness when you're not able to see what you hear. You can hear, but you cannot see. So you cannot see words of Bible for what they are. You can only hear them, so you only understand it shallow instead of understanding it deep. Perhaps this is where we talk about red cow. Everybody reads line and I will be really brief with it. And in reality, it's a riddle. And somewhere here I printed myself, I don't remember, of course, in my memory how it would be. It's in Book of Numbers, chapter 19. And so you have to understand that this is a riddle. This is the ordinance in the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke. If you read translation into Russian language, there is a little bit of a flavor that will bring slightly deeper understanding. Of course, you have to read original, and right now we will not be touching on that. But obviously there is no red cow in the world. It doesn't exist. It is never red. You need that color to be red and nothing else. And you need to make sure that it has no dot at all. And also, if you really research that, then you will understand that it has to have no fur. So it's not an animal, because every cow in the world definitely have spots, definitely not red. But I will show you what it is. This is the red cow. Yes. I'm sorry I turned it wrong way. How this red cow will be sacrificed? It is only can be used once as God planned. It has to be deciphered. Once it will be deciphered, once seals are open, you cannot close it back. Once you enter the deep layer, you cannot go back. It is already deciphered. So deciphering Torah, that's what sacrifices Torah. At the end of the cycle, at the end of the plan, you can only return to promised land if you decipher this book. And in order to decipher it, like I said, you need 3 languages. And you need to be open-minded. And you need rakia. You need to be able to know how to read Egyptian hieroglyphs. And you need to open book that was silent in the walls of Egypt. And once you will do all this, Torah will open its secrets, and fallen angels will stop falling down into the sin. So this is what it is all about. But right now we got situation when we have events that is happening in Israel. So you would of course not believe me that this is red cow yet. Let's say you still have little bit of Slavic in you and you know how to perceive riddles. And this is riddles right here. It's books that riddles are created in order to prepare future generations to at some point take that as a riddle and be able to decipher it. So in Russian language, ladybug is Божья коровка. It's red. It's God's cow. Божья коровка, ladybug. But it always have dots. But it's red and it's God's cow. But it has dots. Always have dots. The book that doesn't have dots and it's red and it's cow, because there is milk. In this book, there is always every word that is something else. Sky is not sky. Land is not land, but sacred knowledge. Sack, red, comes in a red sack. Santa Claus is not really Santa Claus. It's another name. It's in here as well. So, do you think I prepared you enough to talk about just one line? We need this line today, ahead of every other line. Direct link to video that is in Russian language, video that I will briefly explain to you what I was talking about few days after conflict in Israel escalated. I have decided that it is very important to decipher line in Hebrew Bible that is directly responsible for the formation of Israel as a country in a place where it is later on. But before that, in my video, I was trying to explain to my Russian audience that in ancient texts, when word Israel mentioned, this is not name of the country, this is name of God Mother. And if you're familiar with Zohar, it is written also with the idea that I will try to explain to you, that is a basis for sacred knowledge, is to explain concepts of celestial existence into simple terms. Man married woman, king marries his people that are in his country, his nation, whatever it is, depends on how you want to see it. But God married entire humanity, and humanity give birth to God. That's how God rejuvenates, it borns over and over and over again. That's how God is immortal. That's how Gala organism rejuvenates and return to state of rejuvenated celestial organism through allowing ones that are incapable of being in a sustainable field of consciousness, they get rejected. And the ones that are clean are returned. And once are cleaned, I mean those who are able to go through process of life, complete testament, and at the end, not rejected by higher consciousness. And the rejection is, of course, you have to be a decent human being and make correct decisions. But right now we're not talking about what you can and cannot do, what you try and try not to do. We're right now talking about concepts only. So, as I explained to Russian audience, Israel is name of a godmother, name of entire humanity, name of all fallen angels that exited home and in the process of falling into sin. So, how to see word Israel? Is means out of. In many languages, it is very well understood. In Russian language, if you still remember it, is комнаты, out of room. Is рая, out of heaven. So is рай, il. Рай is heaven. Is рай means out of heaven. ill. Ill like in word illness. Consciousness that are possessed with negative elements, that is not capable of being in a sustainable field of consciousness. That's ill consciousness, right? So Israel, it's fallen angels together, and that's name of God Mother. That's the humanity that at the end giving birth to new God. And that's how return to heaven happens through process of lives. I will be explaining that later on. But anyway, Israel is not a country. Israel is name of the God Mother. And if you shy to believe me right now, think about it. You inherited your Jewish heritage through mother. That's because Israel she is a godmother, and her other name is Ishtar, Esther, her another name. That's entire humanity. So that was explained, and later I took line that is directly responsible for formation of country of Israel, where we know Israel right now. And line is this, and that's in Deuteronomy chapter 11. Every place whereon the sole of your foot shall tread shall be yours, from wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the hinder sea shall be your border. So this is the line that in a way is saying, here is the river Euphrates, here is the Lebanon, here is the wilderness, and now we're looking at that, and we have sort of positioning of our land, like promised land. Well, here is the interesting thing. I have to little bit explain way ahead of time. So, you read word Kafradechem. I probably mispronounced it because I didn't born with ears hearing from my parents Hebrew language. So, and I do understand that you pronounce d. Sometimes you mispronounce it. This is what my ears perceive. I know what letter there is, but aren't you pronounce it like that? Anyway. So, sole of your foot. Well, in English, sole of a foot, this is particular part of a foot. And in fact, this part of the foot never touches the ground. So if in this line it says that where your sole of the foot touch the ground, that's your land. Well, sole of the foot cannot possibly touch the ground. This is the riddle that Moses designed. So for a very long time you will continue falling down and saying this is our land. And at the end, you look at the words and you start thinking, and are you sure that this is your land? Because Moses could have just tell it in a way that it will be never questioned by anybody. But no, he put little bit of doubt in idea that you are right if you saying that that's your land. Because sole of the foot. Yes, in Hebrew, that you know right now, of course, kafregechem, I feel shy about speaking. That's a foot. So it's clearly only foot. Like, in a way, how Hebrew right now, yes, it's all clear. That's your foot, and you put your foot on the ground there. But kof, you see the letter kof? It's like a spoon. Kof is a spoon. Spoon is a particular shape. What about geological formation, right? Does it call cliff? In Russian language, the word is utес, where the water washes underneath of the mountain. The sea washes underneath of the mountain continue to stay on top and never touches actual surface. So it's a suspended mountain cliff. So that's in Hebrew kof, isn't it? So kof, in the very concept, it's something that doesn't touch. And that's what soul of the foot is. If your foot flat, it doesn't have a soul. But if it has a soul, that soul never touches the ground. Is there a correct thought? You speak Hebrew, you tell me. Of course, my Russian viewers, they know Hebrew. Some of them are Jewish and they know Hebrew from the day they born. They was hearing Hebrew, they absorbed it. It's their language, number one. And they say, no, you're incorrect. Kofriger ham, kofra the ham, that's the foot and that's it. And yet it's translated to English, soul of the foot. Never touch the ground. And if it never touches the ground, how can you say that this is your ground if it never touched it? So if it is in the language of a lawyers, that's very questionable. At least if we're talking about translation. There is another something that I wanted you to know. Are you sure that it is in fact a foot in this word and nothing else? Because kofar at the hem, it's a kofar in which on top there is two archangels forming an arch towards one another. One archangel is in the past, and his brother archangel is in the future, and their wings are forming an ark of covenants. Covenants is a cavitation outside of space and time. Their mind are interconnected. So what angel? Archangel. In the past, no. That's what archangel in the future knows. And vice versa. Because archangel in the future lives in the future, but mind are connected. The archangel in the past know exactly what future would be. This is how Ark of Covenants work. And it has a coffer. And this coffer never touched the ground. It's in a state of levitation. And now I will tell you something else about it. Levits, word levit, and word levitation is a related words because of the coffer that is handled by Levits, also suspended. It never touched biblical ground. It is, in fact, also didn't touch ground at all. So think about it. A little bit of game of the words that in Bible is so common. Like everybody think that they understood word scorpion, a scorpion king. Who is the scorpion king? Well, scorpion, if right now I would have in my hands tape measure, I would have shown you, I would have pulled a ruler out and I would have shown you lines in a real scorpion. Biblical scorpion is a tape measure. Tape itself in the form of a spiral, that's a peon. And score is in a line. So biblical scorpion is a tape measure. You have to see tape measure to understand what it is. Because measurement is done by a king. So scorpion king, that's a Mashiach, isn't it? That's who measures human soul in this world. and determines whether or not you're capable to be part of sustainable Gaia organism as a celestial organism in the future, after the end of this cycle. That's a little bit of game of the words. But we have to talk about food, because right now you can convince Jewish people that when they really think, because of this line, that this is their land, they continue falling into sin. Because their kof is suspended. Now, if you please would look at the illustration for very old Bible that was printed in and produced in the French language. And it's one of the oldest Bibles that is still remain intact, so you can see the illustration to Deuteronomy. So you will see that Moses are in one painting taking second law from the Father. And look at his feet. He has bare feet and there is lines like ropes that is surrounding his foot. But in reality, if you look at it, you will see that it's sort of like from anatomy chart. Because what will happen is, what was envisioned back then, exactly what will happen right now. People are watching my Russian video, and maybe you will do the same thing. You will go to charts with anatomy and you will try to determine which part of the foot is a soul of the foot. Right? So you will see foot with exactly the same lines that Moses' foot are painted on this very ancient Bible with illustration. And then there is a painting right underneath in this illustration. There is Moses that given second law, Deuteronomy, to his people. And look, he have the same feet. And his people, their feet never touches the ground. They are all suspended. This is to give you proof it is designed to help right now bring this particular line into particular understanding. This is for you to think, maybe your Hebrew are perfect, but maybe you are missing something. So look at this painting. It is underneath of this video in a website that I have created for you to enter, the website that is in fact lightbeats.com. So shalom.blog is for you, but go to homepage later on and you will be in my main site. Please accept my invitation. So, from the wilderness of Lebanon. Well, Livan is in one language. Lebanon is in another language. Lebanon is in another language. But everybody think that Lebanon is name of the land, and now it's the name of the country. But Lebanon is because levitation. It's a state of consciousness. You see, you never actually landed. I will repeat myself. Fallen angel would only then touch land when it will land, when he or she will land. But as of right now, you're still suspended in a suspense. And so, Lebanon is not a land, it's not a country. It's a state of consciousness when you're not landed yet. So from state of consciousness, when you're not landed yet, understand it this way. From the river, what it means from the river. In Bible, river is reč, and reč, rечка, reč, seems to be the same word, but rечка is a river, but reč is your speech, is your communication. So from your speech, Lebanon from your speech is a state of levitation. River of Euphrates, Euphrat, is not a river. It's a reč that is designed so you will understand script, the Bible, two different ways, shallow and deep. People that is not capable of understanding text of the Bible deep, they're not understanding it because they not have a mental capacity. They don't understand it for reasons that is relate to quality of their soul. They rejecting an idea to hear from a source that they may reject also. Think about it. So it is relatively easy to understand Bible deep only if you wanted to be part of celestial organism. Well, you would want to be part of celestial organism, but if you have that Ева, еврей, Euphrat. It's a mind form. You will learn it from hieroglyphs, very deep. So hieroglyph is everything that you have to reject in order to be clean consciousness. Now, Euphrat, mind form fr, everything that relates to separation, fracture. You see separation. Fraternity is an organization that separates itself from everybody else. Fracture, fraternity, fruct. Difference between fruit and vegetable is that fruit always have a designated spot that if you take it apart, it always fractures in the same spot. When vegetable, you have to cut, and you can cut in different spots, but fruit always in one spot. So it's always about separation. Euphrat is a speech that is designed, a language that is designed to run a test on the quality of human consciousness. The ones that at the end capable of gaining understanding of depth, and the ones that will reject it because of that very that will prevent this consciousness from perception of depth. I hope I made myself clear. It is a difficult concept to explain in such a short period of time. But that's what the river of Euphrates is. It's not a particular landmark. Now, Hinder Sea. You think it's a Red Sea, and Ad is what we are, biblically speaking. Hell Sea. Right? You can understand it this way if you understand Hebrew. Hell Sea. Now, sea in Bible is truth. More is a sea. Memento more. Moment of truth. There is reason for that. When more sea mentioned in the Bible, so that's truth. Look at the ancient French illustration. Aaron, brother of Moses, he is standing on a sea. He is standing on the waters of the sea. He is standing on a truth. And Moses is standing on a curtain that on another painting below, Aaron opens up. And so if you look at that, that's not a mountain that Moses is standing on. That's a curtain that has to be open. And since you see the fire that comes from underneath of the curtain, so that's a hellfire. That's to understand that fallen angels are fallen into sin, and this reality is a hell. In fact, so realizing where you are will help you to get your return. So, and now that was intermediate diving into a new understanding. Soul of the foot shall thread. So up until now, we didn't talk about Hebrew language at all. Of course, we have to get even deeper, and for that, I have to stop being shy. I have no choice. I have to stop being shy. You know Hebrew, and I really shy pronouncing words in Hebrew, but I will try to do my best to show you something that you may not see. And I can explain you on one example. Recently, I've been teaching English-speaking person some Russian words. And she asked me, well, how would you say, give me money? I said, дай деньги. And she's like, дай, like in English, дай. Well, it is. It's all languages are connected. So when you say дай деньги, give me money, there is дай. And дай means give your body away. That's the same дай. So in reality, English word дай and Russian word дай is the same word. Except in Russian, it is okay to use it in many instances of giving up something. But in English, it is only in the instance of giving up your body and leaving this reality. So die in English. That's an example, and now let's dive even deeper. Sole of the foot and a cliff, I hope it will make you think, but let's go even deeper. I will have to do a little bit of preparation to go deeper. To dive deeper, I have to, although you are Slavic heritage carrier, and you are of course familiar with Slavic alphabet, and Russian alphabet is Slavic alphabet. Usually it is written in Cyrillic letters, and so this alphabet, if you put two alphabets, one against another one, Russian alphabet and Hebrew alphabet, you will see that there is direct correlation, although some Jewish people I've noticed that reject the idea that there is correlation. Well, there is correlation, it is clear to anybody who will just not reject it for any particular political or other reason. Like if you open-minded person and if you put two alphabets together, you will see that there is different connection, but that's not what is important for us right now. What's important for us right now is discrepancy in the correlation. Because of this discrepancy, that is our entrance to deciphering. What am I talking about? Well, let's say Book of Exodus. You know, there is mentioned Shifra and Four. And the way to understand it, Shifra is archangel who was working in the past, and he created a cipher, and this cipher encompasses Torah and also encompasses languages, And Hebrew language in particular, it's a language of a cipher. And the cipher have to work like that. It have to work for very long time. For the time of when Testament commences, all this time, human have to think in the concepts of shallow understanding of Bible. And then, of course, Hebrew language, it's not really that difficult to think that you've got 17 ways to present a vowel and only 5 vowels. What happens? 17 ways to assign vowel to a consonant, and you've got 5 of them. So why is that? And why is it that some letters you pronounce different in the beginning of the word and at the end of the word? Why is that? Why is all this strangeness? Why not make it simple? You simply have to read the words. There is a way to make it simple. Why make it complicated? Because it is a cipher. Because it is important to create a language that you can read for a very long time one way, and then discover that there is another way to read the same language. So there is a text that you can read 2 different ways and understand it 2 different ways. So that's how Shifra, name of archangel in Book of Exodus, and there is 4 in the future, make the opposite process, deciphering. So let me do this. Let me put example. I will not go through entire alphabet, Russian alphabet, overimpose that with Hebrew alphabet. And you can do yourself go through entire process from beginning to end. I will just go from beginning to 5, 6, 7, 10 letters. That's enough to explain to you concept. So correlation is there. You've got Russian letter A reads as a sound A, and you've got Aleph. And you've got a Russian letter that reads B, letter B. And you've got Bet with Dagesh, you read it as sound B. And then in Russian alphabet, there is letter V. And you got the same letter Bet, but without Dagesh, you also read it V. So you've got A, B, V. Then Russian alphabet have letter that reads G, letter G. And you've got Gimel. And then, so that's A, B, V, G. Then there is D in Russian alphabet. And you've got Dalet. So A, B, V, G, D. So far, so good, right? They correlate perfectly. And then you've got in Russian alphabet letter Y. And if you continue overimposing, then in Hebrew alphabet, you've got He. And the strange thing is, in words in Hebrew, you don't read this at all. So you don't pronounce it. Well, would you like to know what will happen if you pronounce He as Ye? So to continue A, B, V, G, D, Ye, you will pronounce He when you will see it in a line as Ye. What will happen? Strange thing will happen. New word will appear that if you know Russian language and English language, you will start to recognize this word. And another thing that's strange will happen. You will understand this text in a different way. But I will continue right now. So you've got Vav coming next in Hebrew, and you've got Yo. And you don't have sound Yo in Hebrew. But right now we work on one line. Later, that will make sense. And then, of course, Abba, Vega, De, that's not enough for you to see correlation. Well, then there is Zayin, isn't it? And then, in Russian alphabet, it goes next after what I already told you. So next in line, there is Zh, Z. And in Hebrew alphabet, there is Zayin. With Garish, you read it Zh, and without Garish, you read Z. So then correlation continues. And what will happen in two alphabets? So there is several letters that directly correspond with full correlation, and then there is disturbances. And when you process with your mind these disturbances, and you will try to accommodate another Cyrillics alphabet, and you will try to read it as part of the same system, then new words and new meaning will start to open up in a language and in lines that you seems to be already knowing. So with all that said, I printed for me this Hebrew line. So, and so we've got, if I would be born in a family that would, with milk of the mother also, provide Hebrew, that would be one pronunciation. If you, like me, Chd, Kalamakom, Asher, Tidorch, Kafragechem, I don't know, Balachem. Is that understandable by Hebrew carriers? I don't know. I want to know. I hope it is. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not going to pretend to be a Hebrew. I will just do the opposite. So, I see two letters that have no additions to it, H and D. And if I will go through Egyptian system, combination of two sounds, and in between, when there is no direct sounds assigned, you can put, like you put mortar to bricks when you build walls, the same way all languages are constructed. You've got combinations of sounds that carry mind forms, that carry your thought. Think of how your thought originates. Before there is sounds that born in your mind in a time of communication, before the sounds born, you already have the thought. And then next there is translation of thought into sounds, and then that goes as a spoken language. But your mind not operate in a spoken language. Your mind operate on forms of mind, simplest forms of mind. To every simplest form of mind, like a brick, in our reality there is combination of two sounds relates to every simple mind form. That's how our minds work. So when God communicates directly, He can communicate just with forms, without any sound. This is how minds are interconnected in a grand scheme of global consciousness. This is how universal language of entire Gala organism works. But we will not go through that. I will just explain. In order to put bricks together in a spoken form, you need to add additional vowels that doesn't carry anything like mind form. They just need it for the apparatus to be able to pronounce words flawless. So it is easy to pronounce. That's why you need to combine consonants and vowels. So you have hd. It's hard to pronounce. So you add vowel that doesn't carry a thought by itself. And you have word hodid, means walk. And you have word hod. It's like reallocation from one spot to another. And so if you would have Egyptian hieroglyph, hd, it is always related to movement. You can think of moving forward or walking or driving, doesn't matter, just moving. So hd. And then I see letters that I read ka, then I see u, I read kal, and then I see a letter he, and you don't read it. Well, what I was explaining with correlation and discorrelation of alphabets, well, I would assign sound ye to word that otherwise I already read. And what happens is, it turns into word kaliya makom. The whole word can be read. Hd kaliya makom. Hod kaliya makom. What is kaliya? So you Slavic. Kaliya is a very narrow way. It's like you can barely walk through on a very narrow way. That's a koliya. Hod kaliya makom. Makom, what is this word? Don't you know this word? Well, there is like mockingbird. What does this mockingbird does? Well, it pretends to be another bird. So it's like producing sounds of some other bird. So you cannot recognize this bird. You think about this bird as the other one. It can sing as other bird. So hadid, walk, kaliya makom, it's like you're walking on a very narrow passageway and you're mocking others or somebody else. When you walk, kaliya makom, in this world, as a fallen angel, you go in a kaliya. It's a very narrow passageway. Step right, step left, and you will fall in even faster. You will cease to exist. You make mistake. You can't make mistake. You're moving through, of course, your propagation is not in space and time. Your propagation is rather in a direction that your soul takes. It's a spiritual propagation that is on a very narrow passageway, and you're mocking. Don't you understand how it happens? Think about it. Suddenly everybody's saying the same thing what you hear in the news. You take your personal position. It's not your personal position in some question. It's what majority of people, that is your people, are saying to be part of this group. You are saying what is acceptable to say in this group of people. So in reality, you're mocking everybody else. So hod kaliya makom is when you repeat after others, you're mocking them. Like mockingbird, saying as somebody else. Asher. Asher means when you do that to your eyes, that's how you walk. Asher means your eyes are shurit is Russian word. It means you make your eyes barely able to see what's ahead of you. So, hod kaliya makom asher. Tiderohe. Isn't it if I would put every sound how it's supposed to be, how it is risen? Tidorch, you would read, I think. But tiderohe, if you put every sound that is assigned to this word in a written word. Well, how would you understand? Do you know word, how dare are you? So you, in Russian language, ty dare. How dare you, you say in English, right? Dare. How you allow yourself to do. Ty daroche. That means that you're walking, you don't see where you're going. You're mocking everybody else. And you are brave doing that. You can understand this line like that. Well, now you're Hebrew and you're probably like getting angry at me right now. Would you prefer that your word, first word, combination ch and d, it's some kind of vessel, right? A dish, isn't it? Kalamakom, it's like everywhere, right? That's the word. So you put two words together. Does that mean anything to you? I don't know. I want to know. Because each word separately doesn't produce sense that you put the whole phrase, isn't it? And it shouldn't be like that, unless it's a cipher. Then I share you, it's a word which, right? And if you put three words together, do they make sense? They do make sense to you, but it is still, you would feel that this is some kind of cipher. You should. And Tidorch, well, isn't it briefing? It's like, I brief you right now on something, right? In a sense. Tidorch. So, you see, you can sort of understand it in two different languages, and if you just forget for a little bit Hebrew itself and just know other languages, these words do make sense. Let's continue. If I will read every letter, Kaf Ragelahem, isn't it? There is L, but you don't pronounce it. But it's there. Well, why would it be there if you don't pronounce it? Think about it. Well, that's because if you do pronounce it, the other meaning will open up. Kaf, right, is a shape that doesn't touch the ground. Aragele, well, you know what rag. It's a flat surface, it's flat. Rag, English word. So it's a plane. Kaf Ragelahem. Bolachem. But you notice there is two lines between bo and lachem, with you, lachem. But what is bo? Or that's boch. It's just one line that is like a missing letter. Boch lachem. Boch is a God. Lachem is with you, right? And in Russian language we say Bog s тобой. That's Bolachem. So if you really put all these words together, that you walk in a narrow passage and you mock somebody else and you don't see where you're going, you go asher, right? Tidoracha. you can understand it that you decided to do something that you really shouldn't. You dare to do it. You risking. That's another word. Kafragelahem. Well, that's the only word in the whole phrase that really is what it is for the cipher. So, bol ahem, that's God with you. God is always with you. It's part of your consciousness. He looks into the world through your eyes, and he looks at you through eyes of others. It's a higher consciousness that exists in everyone. Later, it will be apparent, but it is not apparent right now. But in order to make it apparent, think about this. You can't eat pig, right? Ham is not allowed. Do you know where it comes from? Clever Moses decided to do that ritual also. Well, it's bad to eat pork, of course. In English, it's ham, right? Look at it. Rakia, right? You understand it through English. There is many Hebrew ciphered words that you would only understand through English. If you know English and Hebrew, you would just open up your mind and meaning will come to you. And here is the interesting thing. Ham. Bola ham. Kofra de ham. Ham. So the style of writing, it's always yours, with you, yours. So the style of writing is ham everywhere. Ham repeated constantly. But it is not in entire Torah. It's only in parts of Torah when particular writing style that ham is repeated 2-3 times in every line. Yours. Ham. Well, and then you can't consume ham. You get the point. So, the Moses give you an option. You can either believe me that this Kof Ragarham never touched land of Palestine. You were there, of course, but it's everybody's land. It's not the promised land, it's just a land. Not for your landing. If you cleanse to that land, you will never land in a real land. You will continue being fallen angel until you will cease to exist. Or you will stop consuming ham, which means lines that is designed with overly used part of the word, which translates as yours. Ham. Ham. You can't consume that ham. This is the real meaning, a reason for this particular rule that you should follow. Think about it. We just passed a moment when I wanted to stop video and I wanted to call it a day. Work completed. What I always do is I allow people to make last step in the conclusion of what we was talking about by themselves. And I did it for a very long time, my Russian YouTube channel So many people watched my video, and in every video I've been given enough information to make one last step by yourself into understanding of something significant, like to make right thought that have to come with all this load of information that I overimposed on you. It doesn't work. And right now it seems to be that there is events happening and I have to change my strategy. What I know right now, some of you, probably most ambitious people that do want to know more, will try to read in the same way that I was doing, and you probably will fix your mind on Vav. I know that will happen, and this is unfortunate because you will try to use it the same way how I turn he into ye. You would try to turn Vav into yo, and I don't want you to do it because it would have been very simple. That's not how cipher works. Midwife, Shifra, Archangel, that is depicted with wings like that on top of Ark of Covenants, right? He was much more complex in his idea than you would just do this simple manipulation with letters. Of course not how it works. But if you're gonna be concentrating on what I was saying about this letter, to create a symphony and harmony out of two alphabets in order to discover something. Well, you see, you have to make different connection. Every time you use addition, you use Vav, isn't it? And this, and this, and this, Vav, another addition, little bit more happiness, little bit more happiness. Vav, it's an emotion for you. Same emotion that you express when you gaining something and then gaining a little more, but it's a hidden emotion. You see, in Russian language, this emotion can be presented in words with sound yo. And sometimes it's apparent and sometimes it's hidden, but that's how it works. And in English, there is word wow, right? There is word W-A-W, right? And it is like Vav in Hebrew. So it's a little bit different this time. It's always a little bit different. It's never simple. But that's not what I was gonna tell you, of course, about last step that have to be taken into understanding. What if I will bring this time to a close? What I really was trying to take you, where was I taking you with everything that I said today? I will this time take you every step of the way into the final step as well. I will not stop where I was planning. I will continue. You see, prophet Moses, he knew exactly where we would be right now. Who would believe in that? Who will not believe in that? And so the point is that learning Bible doesn't start with first line and the first page of the Bible. That's where you start reading it, but that's not an entrance to internal layers of onion that Bible is, really, an onion. And you have to take one layer after another, after another, after another of onion leaves. And you have to get to where there is a goal of the onion. We will talk about it later. But right now, what I'm trying to say is very first line that is responsible for the formation of schism that I was talking about. That very line in its internal layers would be responsible for beginning of true understanding of depth. But with all the words are uncovered, you still wouldn't understand, right? Meaning of that. And there is reason why I said that there is this most important word is in Hebrew language is a foot that I can't seem to pronounce it right in Hebrew. Well, let's read it one more time. Kof ragelahem. Kof ragelahem. What's ragela? Well, in English there is word rag. And if I tell you what it is, you will not believe me, unfortunately. Not without help of Ilya Navi, which he did provide. How did he do it? You don't know, but he created movie for Disney called Aladdin. Well, Aladdin in Arabic is judge, you know that. Not just any judge, it's the judge that is expected in this world anytime now. Judge that would be with the scorpions that I was talking about. Aladdin, right? So, Kaf Ragelahem is a flying carpet. Carpet that never touched the ground. Levitating carpet. Kaf Ragele. Rag is a carpet, right? Ragele also. Kaf Ragele Ham is a flying carpet, like in 1001 Night. Well, everybody thinks that 1001 Night is just a book. No, it's a book that's written by the same prophet that created the Bible. Yes, it is a very key book. Just nobody was supposed to know that until the time of revelation comes. So, very first book of Bible, Batom, is the Dno Karta. And Dno Karta is a flying carpet. It's like when you talk about flying carpet, it's the secret knowledge. Yes, it's not just a book. You will see that this book is actually alive. It changes in a very interesting way. It's like a live book. Once you start reading it, once you will get into that, you will understand what I'm talking about. It will produce for you what is this world waiting for? Proof that there is, in fact, all that is right now believed, but instead of believing, you would actually know for sure. So how would you do it? You would make a skeptical, like everybody waiting for a skeptical. This is much more interesting than just a spectacle that will make believers into knowers. How would it be done? Well, you will just have to get on a flying carpet and get a ride on a flying carpet, learning from Book of the Dead and learning how to decipher. Every other book will also be understood together with the flying carpet, which is No Carta, Book of the Dead. So Ilya Navi, when he was making movie Aladdin, I know it's probably not your lifestyle to watch Disney movies, but if you would know that it's created by a prophet by the name Ilya Navi, then you would probably want to learn a little more and notice that the flying carpet goes down, then there is a red door. And on that door, it's enough to understand if you have a particular quality of your mind, that this door, in fact, have Egyptian hieroglyphs in that, and it pointing up like an arrow. So this is one thing you have to notice. And also, there is Egyptian hieroglyph. I will show you right here how it looks like. It reads combination of Z and N, like in word znanie, which is knowledge. There is that, and after that they go through Egypt, and they go through Greece, and that makes sense because deciphering goes through help of many different cultures that each have a little piece that they carry into the future, like Jewish people carry Torah, so Chinese people carry Chinese hieroglyphs, and that would be important for us as well. And legends of Greek is also have something to do with all this big scheme that unraveling as a God's plan. So, Kaf Ragelachem, it's a flying carpet, but it is everything else that you know precious about it. You see, when you see a coffer that I was talking about, right? Kovcheg Zaveta in Russian language, that's Kaf Ragelachem. So it's not immediately that hieroglyphs went in the walls of Egypt, right? It's a book. Book has a containment, and people who carry this book, and people who've been working with this book, and people who helped make this plan come true. All Levites been carrying that for all this time. That is what Pandora's box, when you open it up, world changes. It is Kofre Galachem. It has many names. Ark of Covenants. Well, Ark of Covenants is actual mechanism itself that connect mind in the past with mind in the future. It's part of our Gala organism, main organ. But everything else connected to it. And the first is what is written in the walls of Egypt, it's connected to it directly. And world changes not only in space and time, but also outside of time and space. It changes. And together with that changes Ark of Covenants and changes the carpet that you would have to take magic carpet ride on it. And notice the song. I can show you the world, shiny, shimmering world. And then if you go through these words, you will realize that he is not showing her the waterfalls and beautiful nature. He actually shows her something that changes her point of view, and that's what she's saying, right? There is a video on my website. You will go to main page, homepage of lightbeats.com, then you can watch some of the videos, and video after video after video after video, you will arrive to unraveling this movie that Ilya Navi created. I hope you can go through that. It is important for Jewish people to change perspective into what was created recently, but created by consciousness that you're familiar with after what you've been reading already from long time ago. And here probably it's time to finally conclude what this line is actually about. So right now you're walking, mocking what others in your group do, and your eyes cannot see where you're going, really, not far. And your passage is narrow. You definitely can make mistake and fall down. Basically, you are in a dangerous situation. And here you have to be there to step into magic carpet ride. You have to step in Kaf Ragalahem. You have to enter it. And then Bolachem, Boh Lachem, God will be with you if you do that, if you dare to do that. That's what it is really mean. Like you have to choose between continue walking in the desert and don't see where you're going, or you want to make leap of faith and get the tool that I sent you and see if you can use it. See what you can discover if you go into that. It would be a lot of work, but it will present some interesting discoveries at first, and then you will be in another world. Thank you for watching this video. I hope I spark your interest. So, what I wanted from you, truth. Tell me what you think. As a person that know Hebrew by heart, I want to know what you think. Thank you. I appreciate you watching this video.